Did white racist Europeans steal this land from Native Americans? Well, according to woke Democrats, yep. And you may wonder, how does a woke Democrat who believes America is a stolen nation celebrate the 4th of July? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. And we're also going to find out why they couldn't be farther from the truth. Stick with me to the end for an awesome reveal. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. Reminding you to smack that bell and subscribe button for your daily fake news antidote. And speaking of a bell, is the stock market making you nervous of late with inflation worries and the like? How does gold and silver sound right about now? Because that is where our good friends over at Noble Gold come in. There's never been a better time to start a gold or silver IRA in your portfolio, and the amazing staff over at Noble Gold are ready to help you in any way that they can. If that's not incentive enough, you're going to love this. Noble Gold is gifting a 1/10 ounce solid gold American Eagle proof coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k rollover going through in July. So don't wait. Click on that link below right now or visit their website at noblegoldinvestments.com. You can give them a call too at 877-646-5347. Make sure to mention my name, Dr. Steve, and let's ride that gold wave together. Love it. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. I certainly hope you had a wonderful 4th of July celebration. If you haven't already checked it out, make sure to watch my video on the Declaration of Independence. Really going to inspire you. One of the recurring comments was that the battle our founding fathers defined against tyranny back then could just as easily apply to today as these woke social justice warriors try to replace our constitutional republic with a Marxist totalitarian state. And for cultural Marxists, it goes without saying, July the 4th is emphatically not a date to celebrate. We need look no further than one of the squad, one of the four horsemen, Cori Bush, absolutely trashing America over the weekend. The radical leftist disguised as a politician tweeted out, quote, "When they say that the 4th of July is about American freedom, remember this. The freedom they're referring to is for white people. This land is stolen land and black people still aren't free." Now, of course, she doesn't define the they in her tweet. When they say the 4th of July is about American freedom, they really mean white people. So I guess the they she's referring to are whites. But regardless, you know what they say. It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak or tweet and remove all doubt. And my, did her tweet get some massive pro-American backlash. America! Clay Travis tweeted back, "You make $175K a year of taxpayer money to rip the country's people to pay your salary. Show me any unfree country in the world where that's possible. You can't." Our good friend Andy No asks, "Should the United States be dissolved, in your opinion, and people deported to their ethnic country of origin, rather recent or historical?" Another fellow named Thomas Williams tweeted, quote, "I'm a 40-year-old American descendant of slaves. The year is 2021, and I have been free my entire life." Republican House candidate Buzz Patterson wrote, "Single-handedly, at Cori Bush has dishonored every black person who ever fought for this nation, sprinkled a little Marxism into the mix, and lied about the history of America. Well done, Democrats. Well done." Senator Ted Cruz excoriated the cultural Marxist representative, tweeting, "Hateful, divisive lies. The left hates America. Believe them when they tell you this." And Ted Cruz, I gotta say, as usual, hits the nail on the head. More and more pundits are recognizing that there are two populations in our nation. The Great Divide is more and more those who love America and those who hate America. Those who still believe in the values and the institutions of America versus those who believe those values and institutions are inherently racist and bigoted. It's between those who support America first versus those who are post-American, those who hate America and who are actively attempting to dismantle our nation at the border with regard to energy independence and manufacturing and industry, and by recasting our historic culture, customs, and traditions as inherently racist, sexist, and all kinds of phobic. And at the heart of this project, of course, this post-American project is convincing our children over the course of at least 13 years of schooling to hate their country and hate everything that America has historically stood for. And one of the key myths that's perpetuated, as we saw with Cori Bush's tweet there, is this notion that American land is stolen land. America is a nation founded on treachery and thievery. We are an illegitimate nation that needs to acknowledge that we stole our land from the peaceful and original Native American owners. There's always been a major talking point of the radical far left, the post-American activist left. But now we've actually got congressmen like Cori Bush openly stating this. But is it true? Is America a stolen country? Well, according to responsible and honest historians, the answer to that is an emphatic no. In fact, that assertion just reveals just how historically illiterate the political cultural Marxist left has become. I would recommend for all of your reading a wonderful essay written by Jeff Finn Paul. He's an associate professor of history at Leiden University. It's entitled The Myth of America as a Stolen Country. It's a wonderfully rich and insightful piece that absolutely crushes the pernicious and divisive Marxist lie peddled by people like Cori Bush. First and foremost, as Finn Paul points out, Native Americans didn't own land. This is a simple, inconvenient detail that Marxists leave out all the time in their anti-American screeds. Native Americans did not own land in the way we think of land ownership. And that's not simply because our understanding of property and land ownership comes from the Greco-Roman legal tradition. The Romans developed our notion of private property rights that leftists, who are, by the way, trying to destroy our private property rights, nevertheless, they weaponize it to try to destroy our nation's heritage. But it's not just a technical legal issue. According to historians, Native Americans were more hunter-gatherers than permanent settlers. They generally farmed and hunted in an area for a few decades until the soil got tired, and then they moved on to greener pastures, as it were, where the hunting was better, the land more fertile. They generally had no permanent settlement, and as a result, competing Native American tribes were in constant conflict with other tribes. There were no clear boundaries or borders where they settled, and the question of who owned the land was constantly contested. And so, what the European settlers did is they simply became part of that contestation. Very similar to the way in which Germanic migrations inserted themselves into Northern European tribal disputes, or the way the Celts inserted themselves into Western European tribal conflicts. In the New World, in America, sometimes European settlers sided with one Native American tribe over and against the other. Sometimes they sided with no one. And as our historian puts it, despite a few sensational cases of duplicity, most of the time, Europeans being encultured in the Roman notion of property ownership, most of the time they purchased their land from Indians just like they would buy an acre of land in England. There's nothing even remotely akin to theft within this historical framework. And as more and more Europeans established their settlements, introduced guns into the hunting and the like, the hunting for Native Americans became sparse, so they had to move farther and farther away. And so the areas around white settlements became increasingly empty, precisely because of animal stocks getting depleted. And in terms of the whole supposed genocidal element here, with the European settlers bringing in their epidemics and their smallpox and the like, which they did, but again, what goes unstated is that it's now widely recognized that the general health of Native Americans had been deteriorating long before Columbus ever showed up at the end of the 15th century. Paleopathologists have studied upwards of 12,000 skeletons from 65 sites all across North and South America. More than have most of them coming prior to the Old World coming on over. And they found that they were highly malnourished. They had low protein levels. Early death was common. And so they simply didn't have the immune system to deal, frankly, with anyone showing up from the so-called Old World, whether that would have been European settlers, Asian settlers, Northern African settlers. It didn't matter. People from the Old World, Europe, Africa, Asia, tended to live in very dense populations that cross-pollinated with each other for centuries, which increased their immunities to the diseases that these populations had already been exposed to. It didn't matter who showed up. Native Americans were a smaller and more homogeneous population than the Old World, and their immune systems simply weren't ready for anyone to show up. And when you combine that with their hunter-gatherer economy, it was just a matter of time, sadly, for their population to diminish. And that's precisely what happened. But this ridiculous notion that on the 4th of July, we should all remember that whites stole the land from Native Americans, it's not just historically ignorant. It's not just divisive and dangerous. You ready for the reveal? It's also the epitome of hypocrisy. Because what the hell are cultural Marxists trying to do if not steal our nation? Marxists are the ultimate culture appropriators. They're the post-Americans who are the ultimate national thieves. It's politicians like Cori Bush that want nothing less than destroy our nation from within, destroy our culture, our customs, our traditions, and then rebuild things according to their own cultural Marxist image. We cannot allow the radical cultural Marxist left to abuse our history, because in doing so, they attempt to replace our national meta-narrative with a Marxist one. And ironically, you don't have to be much of a student of history to know how horrific Marxist meta-narratives turn out. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video on the bombshell new photo that crushes sleepy Joe Biden's denials about Hunter. You're not going to want to miss it. It's a game changer for sure. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.